here, public and employees. And Ben, thank you for running the meeting last time.
Yes, sir.
I know that I can take a vacation in.
Not too soon.
Okay, first we'll start with our invocation. Let's start with a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Alice, I can call on you to do the pledge since you pointed.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alice, I see you got the camera.
Okay, review and the adoption of the agenda, and I think we have a few things to add to the agenda.
Yes, so after speaking about it a little bit, kind of at the budget retreat, we were looking to add a discussion on the auditorium, just to see exactly what council wants done. Give direction to staff so we can include that in the budget. And then the second thing was looking possibly at forming a committee for a festival, for next year's festival. See if council would be interested in doing something like that. So we could add the auditorium as 6B and then the festival as 6C. And then we would like to add under 7A a code enforcement report that council requested last month.
All right.
Would this be the time to ask for a closed session?
I guess so. Yeah.
I'd like to add that if Redmond never shows up, with Redmond and the council.
So put that after J.
Yeah.
Okay, is that everything you need change to the agenda?
Yeah, that should be everything.
If it is, if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
All right. All in favor? Thank you. Now, adoption of the minutes. Okay, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I don't vote, so do we need to vote separate or? I'm looking at Red, he's not here. Oh, there.
You just told him wasn't here. He could have listened to you the whole time.
Redmond's everywhere.
Unfortunately.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do it separate, just to make sure, okay? If someone wants to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting.
I'll make a motion about the minutes as amended.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. And then for the special meeting, someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion for all special meeting minutes.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Public comments? We don't have Gary here. The riot doesn't break out.
I think we can take them.
You speak for yourself. I'm doing action.
Okay,
No, you just don't.
no public
Greg, you were
comments. Okay, 6, old business. 6A, consider approval of 160D revision to the Code of Ordinance Minimum Housing Section. Thank you.
All right, again, Todd Justice, the planner for the town. So back about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years now, the North Carolina legislature passed Chapter 160D of the general statute, which modified and updated most of the land use statutes of the state had on the books. And one of the previous planners, I think it was Hunter Nestor, walk you guys through the changes based on 160D to the town zoning ordinance. However, 160D included changes and updates to the non-residential building standards statute and the minimum housing standards statute. And both of those statutes are what the town's minimum housing and non-residential building standards are in the code of ordinances, which is separate from the zoning ordinance. So that's, I believe that's why Hunter didn't necessarily include them in the updates that he did. So I'm here to talk us through the 160D updates that need to be made to the code of ordinances as they pertain to minimum housing and non-residential building standards. And both of these sections are actually enforced by your code enforcement officer here, Chad Powell. The vast majority of the changes are simply reference citations. So where the town's ordinance originally referred to 160A as the statute of reference, I went through and changed those to 160D where that was applicable. Some places they didn't get rid of 160A entirely, so in some places 160A is retained, but in most places it's been changed to 160D. There are, however, 3 sections that I felt needed to be significantly altered comparatively to just the simple citation changes that I made. The first is the right of access clause, which is on page 5. Section 5-1.1.6. I am not sure why this is included or what its purpose is here, and it can be misleading if you were to take it at face value. So my recommendation is that we simply remove it. Basically what it states is that any town employee has access to anyone's property in the town at any time. And we all know that's not correct. The Fourth Amendment requires that any government official either approach a person and ask them permission to be on the property or require a warrant to go on the property. And that's what we do as government officials. That's what our code enforcement officers do. And so I recommend that we just strike this section altogether from the ordinance. I can't imagine any instance where it would somehow supersede the Fourth Amendment. It just can't. So there's no need for that there. If you go to page 15, section 5-1.1.17. That section is specific to rooming and boarding houses. North Carolina statute defines all living areas or structures where someone might take up residence as a dwelling. And it's a very broad definition of dwelling. It's basically any structure that was constructed to be a residence or is intended to be a residence or is currently being used as a residence. And that includes, of course, rooming and boarding houses. So there's no need for us to pull those out and make a special section for them in the ordinance. Rooming houses and boarding houses are automatically covered under dwelling, which is the state's definition for where we can enforce the minimum housing. And then the last section is the last section of the ordinance, Article 3, which pertains to abandoned manufactured homes. And again, for the same reason, a dwelling is a dwelling is a dwelling. There's no need for us to have a special section or article that refers strictly to manufactured homes, abandoned or not, because they all fall under the same definition of dwelling as far as the state is concerned. If you want to talk about abandoned manufactured homes, Chad here's the guy I talked to about that. We can fill you in on what the town's rights are, how we can legally go about mitigating those. But there's no need for it to be a separate article in the town's ordinance, because it's all under that one definition. So the 4 main things are the citation differences that I made, and then right of access, rooming and boarding houses, and abandoned mobile homes have been my is that we remove them from the ordinance altogether.
Anyone have any questions? No, we need a motion and a,
I make a motion, we make the changes that he recommended.
okay, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, 6B auditorium, I asked that this be put in here because we had, like we say, we talk and talk and talk, but we never do anything, so I'd like for us to start at least the planning stages of this in some way. I don't know how the rest of y'all feel about it, but do you have any comment on that?
Well, I mean, at this point, what staff has kind of, gotten feedback on is, and maybe we just need more clarification or additional information. But the main three things that we've heard, replace the seats, number one. Number two, provide a restroom in the back. And then number three, enlarge the stage. So at this point, the only thing we're asking out of council is, are there any additional items that you would like considered in the project? Then second to that, in terms of hiring either an architect or an engineer, do you want to do it outright? Do you want the town to just go out and find the first one to see? Would you want to go through an RFQ process, RFD? Just basic guidance at this point. Maybe start with renovations. The three main renovations, how does council feel about those? And then is there a price limit that you would like to set?
The price can be developed as we
Right.
get the designs in. There's so many different ways things can be done. I think that we should go ahead and talk to an architect about our project or idea, get an idea of how much he would charge, and go ahead and get started on it. I don't know why we would need to wait. If it was something we're gonna take on, we need to go ahead and get started on it. I think now's a good time.
I agree with you because we've talked about it. It's time something's done with it. The people that want to see something we've done, there've been a lot of talk, nothing ever done.
So my recommendation is just contact an architect, somebody local, somebody that's, used to the area. We don't need to go out and reach some expensive firm somewhere because there's less expensive ways of doing it. And bring him in and tell him what we want and just get started on it.
Logan, if we could look at expanding that dressing room. Making it male and female dressing rooms instead of one small room. And we need to do something about having handicap access to the stage, whether that's upgrading those stairs that are in bad condition. But we probably need either a ramp or some kind of chair lift right on that side of the building.
So we want ADA access.
I don't need that for the stage.
We want, either an added dressing room or an enlarged one.
Yeah, and also we need to look at putting a box wall on the back so that you have access to cross from one side of the stage to the other from anyone that's doing anything on the stage. If it goes all the way up to the top, some people like to have a wall back there so they can project scenes on that instead of having scenery brought in.
And Logan, I would volunteer to help with any part of that, with the design or the architect, whatever, just try to help facilitate it for them all. Yeah.
All right, so we just need a recommendation to staff.
Is everybody in agreement as to the things you want to ask about?
That's my opinion, what everybody else.
What about the rest of the council? We need some unanimity so we know what's.
How do y'all feel about it?
Well, one of the things I'm concerned about, if we get a play group in there that has a very large house. No fun. If you've ever been at the Hub in Hudson, that's a school that has been turned into a play area. And there's nowhere for casts that are not on stage at the time, there's nowhere for them to be. I hadn't been over there in so long, I don't know how large those dressing areas are that you're talking about being, but they're very small. And what they've done at the Hub, I don't know if it's feasible to do here, because I don't really know how it's laid out, but they have taken the old cafeteria downstairs and put a camera and sound down there. So if you're in a play, you have to listen for cues.
Mhm.
So if you have a large group, they can go down in that area and they can hear when their cue is coming up and they know to go upstairs to get ready on stage. Just a suggestion. It's not really set up for plays.
Yeah, we
I'm
might-
not against it being used for plays, but it's not really set up for that.
Also, we probably need to address something about those windows. Whether we block them off completely from the outside like we did from the inside. But they're looking pretty bad.
That's something we could talk to the architect and get, some, we could just field some ideals against it. And see what he comes up with.
Not wrong.
And,
Yeah, I'm ready to get it started.
Okay.
Well, we need.
I think that's everybody.
So Jody, you mentioned, what would we call that maybe then, when you're talking about?
Staging area.
Yeah, kind of like an area where they're gonna be, if you've got 2 or 3 different groups, you've got a secondary group that's kind of waiting,
Yeah, holding
Just
area.
a whole.
Similar area.
You don't necessarily have to have the picture down there, but at least sound so that you can be listening for when your cue is coming up and you know when to go upstairs. Because they got the same problem at the Hub, this little dressing room, we end up standing outside most of the time.
Yeah, just let me recap real quick. So, ADA access to the stage, an added dressing room, and we probably need to do some work on the existing dressing room that's already there.
Right.
A fox wall in the back to move back and forth, enlarge the stage, replace seats, add a restroom to the back. Are we looking at just one ADA,
Yeah, one, unisex.
one ADA restroom? Look at doing something about the exterior windows, a holding area for people not on stage, and then maybe sound equipment or something to get them so they can at least hear when their time to come up is. Okay. Yeah, we can do all that.
And I don't know what the seats are like in there, but the old green room in Newton, it's also an auditorium, and the seats in there, of course, were made for children. And the leg space is about like this. I don't know what ours is like.
About the same.
That's
Is
saying,
it the same?
Made for kids.
Yeah, so.
You said
probably
I'm
won't
broad,
make it.
that's hard for me to get in.
Me
I'll be
too.
honest.
And I don't have long legs.
Said in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You gotta get up.
And they're just making people bigger these days.
We might want to consider making them a little larger, more.
Making that, put adult seats in. Supposed to put adult seats in.
Yes.
Those are very narrow.
Big boy seats.
Adult sounds better.
Okay.
Just in terms of entrance, is there anything needed at the entrance in terms of a large space for tickets and concessions? Is that something we even want to look at right now?
I think it ought to be brought into the design, whether, we may not be able to do all of it at one time, at least we'll have design and plan to work on.
Is that council's agreement?
All right, if that's all the discussion on that one.
You were right about the bidding process.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I kind of did. So you're good with just finding with staff picking a firm? It would need to be someone a council member doesn't benefit from, but other than that, I don't think it matters. If that's,
Yeah. There's several local architects in the area that's worked for the schools. You're doing similar type work.
so is that consensus? Don't worry about RFQs, RFPs, just find the first reputable available architect.
I would think so.
I think so.
Everybody agree? Okay.
You send out RFQs and stuff, you're gonna get people from Charlotte and everywhere else picking in for it. It's gonna destroy the budget.
All right, 6C Festival. And this is something that, I think we should do. Practically every town has a festival. And to do it, I think we're gonna have to have an events coordinator for just the festival. Not a permanent one, but, I don't know how everybody else feels about it.
There's gonna have to be somebody.
Mhm.
And they can do it by event. If you need somebody, hire somebody just to come in and get a price for them to organize the festival, they're gonna do it.
So I'll say just contract it out, somebody.
You know, that's a contract deal, yeah.
How do y'all
And you're gonna have to
feel
do that about the Christmas parade also,
Okay.
if you're gonna do it.
HHDA is not gonna be involved in any of the.
I don't know. You have to ask them, I guess.
I don't know who's there on there.
Yeah, I thought that they had mentioned at one point wanting to come back to do it, but I don't know when that was. No reason.
Oh,
Maybe
all I heard about was the roots in, but.
I heard about the Christmas parade, you know, and they decided not to do it before, so the only thing I heard they wanted to do was cruise in.
Reasons.
Yeah, we need to ask them, though.
The other question was, in the past, the festival has been on the last cruise in. Is that something council wants to look to continue to work with HHDA on, or are we wanting a different date altogether? Like make it a separate
I
event?
think it would be better if it was a different day, because there would be people, when the festival stops at about 4 o'clock, people would be starting to come in for the cruising, and it would kind of be a traffic jam. So I think if the festival could be in October. How do y'all feel about it?
Or maybe the last weekend of
That's what most of them
September.
are.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe the last weekend of September, you don't wanna get over where Oktoberfest is hitting with the
Yeah, I think
other
theirs is the
towns.
first weekend. You're talking about Hickory's.
Yeah, I think it's the second, actually, I'm thinking,
Oh,
so we
okay.
might wanna check.
I think the awards and festivals in September. I'm not positive, but I mean, whoever.
I
is
just
after
wanted
this,
to have the event.
They can find out the dates of the others, keep them conflict.
Yeah, the other thing to bring up with this is, do we want a festival committee? Small committee, 5 people, to look at vendors, prices, recommendations for council. Is that something council would be interested in? So what we could do is we could put that out this month, bring it back to council next month. Does that work? Do you think it's enough time? Should we give it 2 months? 2 months, 1 month? Really, honestly, you'd need it back in 3 weeks for the agenda. Do you wanna put it off till June?
Is that okay with y'all?
I think we'll be fine with me, that way.
You've only got 3 weeks to get, you would only have 3 weeks to get word out, get applications out, get them back, and get them ready for council. So yeah, June would probably be better.
All right, is that all on the festival? Okay. 7, new business, 7A, consider approval of resolutions leasing property for 1 year or less. Oh, I thought we was doing him right after, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Chad,
you're right.
you go right ahead. Code enforcement.
First of all, it's nice to meet everybody. It's the first opportunity I've had to meet everybody. So I'll just introduce myself for a second. My name's Chad Powell. I came to work for Western Piedmont Council of Governments in mid-January this year. Since that time, I've been serving as a code enforcement officer for Hildebran. In the years prior to coming to work for the cog in my current capacity, I worked as a private security contractor and police officer over in Caldwell County. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve the town of Hildebran as code enforcement officer, and I appreciate the opportunity to meet everyone and speak with you tonight. Going forward, I tentatively plan on attending council meetings at the end of each yearly quarter, so every 3 months. I've got everybody copies of the current year-to-date code enforcement data chart to provide a visual reference of the information I'm going to talk about, as well as a monthly report for April. The breakdown of all code enforcement cases from January through April is as follows. For nuisance, trash, junk, and debris, we had 33 total cases, and 21 of those cases have been resolved. For nuisance and junk vehicles, we had 11 cases, and 8 of those cases have been resolved. For nuisance, grass, and other overgrowth issues, had 5 total cases. 0 of those have been resolved, but I've got a couple I've noticed today that actually have been that are not reflected in this paperwork. Is the overgrowth stuff, is it just started? So I've just recently issued those 5 violations. Like I said, at least a couple of those have been resolved, but they're not reflected in our numbers on the reports that I have. Minimum housing, 5 total cases, and 1 of those have been resolved. And non-residential buildings minimum standards has 7 total cases, and 6 of those have been resolved. So far from January to April, 61 cases, 36 of which are resolved. So we're looking at around 59% of the cases that we've opened so far that have already been resolved. So I'm getting some good feedback and some good results from the community, and I'm satisfied with a lot of the interactions that I've had. I believe we're getting some good positive results.
Thank you.
Chad's also our code enforcement officer in Brookford, so we know each other. Just the material he provides you is the best we've ever had anywhere I've ever been. And he's done a good job. He's not afraid to go out there. And he's not going anywhere. We're not going to have a turnover like the gypsy code officers we've had before. He wants to stay here. We want him to stay.
Yeah,
I want to stay for a long time.
well, we appreciate it.
Thank you for a good job, man.
Does anybody have any questions?
Chad, would I email you about any properties that I had a question about?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can email me with any, complaints or references you need me to give check or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, my email is chad.powell@wpcog.org.
Okay.
And I can also get you a business card here just to be it.
Okay.
But I follow up on any complaints that I receive. I investigate those, as quick as I can, and send out notices if everything checks out and so forth.
Okay.
That include things like animals, there's a whole bunch of cats, I had a neighbor that's had a lot of, I think she caught 61 cats on her own. Is that something that would contact you over?
Typically, that would be something for like animal control, but the issues for nuisances as far as the animal defecation and that sort of thing, we can take a look at that. But just animals at large and that sort of thing, that's gonna be like an animal control issue. But I can investigate. Typically, if somebody's got that many cats, they're probably gonna have some nuisance issues going on, so I can definitely investigate.
What about as far as rental property? How many people can be living in a residence that's rental property?
Stuff like that, you get into the mental housing stuff. If there are obvious issues that I can see from the public view, I can investigate mental housing based on that. Not necessarily, am I going to know, necessarily how many people are living in a certain place just from the public view. But if there's other issues going on, if there's leaving a lot of trash out and that sort of thing.
Recliners and all sitting out in the backyard.
Yeah.
And I got over here to the mill houses, right up to them. Tim Norman owns them. There's two, the second and third house, they've got a van, or two vans, two vans, they come in shifts. They come in shifts, seriously, all hours of the night and day.
You don't happen to know the address?
It's right across from 203 Main Avenue East, I'll tell you that, because I live on the other side of the road.
And you said Tim Norman.
Tim Norman owns them. And as far as, I don't know if they even got permits when they put roofs. I mean, I'm not talking just a roof on a mobile home. I'm talking actually put posts to the ground and build them up. Don't they have to have permits when they do that? Might want to look at that, because there's several of them up there that they've done, and I've never seen them inspected at all. Seen them bring mobile homes in, it's never been inspected, hook them up.
I'll definitely take a look and see what
Like I said, you ride through there, and I promise you, all you have to do is ride through there. I don't think you're gonna find anything up there at East Coast.
I'll definitely check that out.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chair. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Now, so, okay, consider approval of resolutions leasing property for 1 year or less.
So I've been working on the yearly leases that we do with, Christian Industries, HHDA, so I'm working on that, but we do have to pass resolutions every year for that. So they are presented for approval. The rates are gonna be the same, we talked about it at the budget meeting, everybody was in agreement to keep the rates the same. I did get word, this last week that Laura Menta, who's kind of over the BC Breakouts team that rents the meeting room right here, they are moving to a different county. Laura will no longer be over it, and they will be forfeiting their rent at June, or their lease at the end of June. They'll fulfill it, but then not renew it for July.
So they're moving out.
So do we wanna remove 42522B from approval? Okay.
Okay, any questions? Need a motion to vote?
Yeah, make the
Everyone make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. 7B, consider approval of contract with Western Piedmont Council of Government for the provision of technical planning assistance, July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Any comment, or just?
Yeah, just in terms of what this is actually the contract for the current year. It was, not sent to us during the budgeting period last year, so it was never signed, so this is, just a follow-up. We actually approved the dollar amount in the agenda, we've been making payments, so this is just a retroactive correction.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor? Thank you. 7C, consider approval of contract with Western Piedmont Council of Government for the provision of technical planning assistance, July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2024.
Okay, and so for this one, this would be for the following budget year, next budget year, 22-23. Instead of a 1-year contract, it is a 2-year contract, that's the only difference. In terms of the time, this coming contract would be up $1,800 per year from the prior year. All services would remain the same as they were in the prior year. Increases were due to inflation and rising costs, but the staff does recommend approval.
I make a motion that we approve the contract with Western Piedmont Council of Government.
All right, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that was C, right?
Yeah.
7D, Consider approval of contract with West Piedmont Council of Government for the provision of code enforcement services, July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2024.
This is also a 2-year contract. From the prior year, it's up 11, or $1,190. Again, all the services remain the same, increase in cost, obviously same reasons, inflation and cost of, or rising costs. Staff recommends approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor? Thank you. 7E, consider approval of temporary non-NCDOT road closure permit application. And this is for the road right behind us. When the kids play ball, it's just safer for them to have that road closed. So what's the pleasure of the council?
Y'all make a motion for that road closure.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, 7F Royal Park update.
Okay, yes, so I provided a memo. Today, actually, we put out RFQ for the engineering company to oversee the project. So if you will turn to 7F in your agenda. I'm sure at this point, everyone probably wants to know what the timeline is on the park. That's probably somewhere way off. So because we did finally get the grant, we finally got the contract, we can begin work on it. So today, we distributed the RFQ to engineering firms. We put it up on our website. We haven't had any official requests for it as of yet, but I would expect that sooner than later. What the RFQ does, it will solicit services for the bidding, construction oversight, the design, surveying, appraising. So for the timeline for that breakdown, what we've asked of the engineering company is to submit all of their responses by 5/11, so that's next month, May 11th. They would have up until May 4th to ask any questions of the town or of Erin Shoddy, the Western Piedmont Council of Governments. She's the one overseeing the project. That's who we hired to administer. They would have June 1st, they would be required to submit their final RFQ. We would open that up. We would look to select a firm in June, so that would be brought to council. In August, we would hope to be under contract with an engineering firm. We may go into negotiations for price after one's submitted. I don't think we can negotiate any prices until we've selected a firm. Is that right, Redmond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we would look to finalize that contract in August. We've already encumbered the funds, but we would also look to approve the contract and then provide a notice to proceed. There is a 6-month, 5-month gap that we would give the engineering firm to come up with a final plan. Assuming they can do it sooner, that would be great. If they can't, we've asked that they have the final plan by no later than February of next year. And then hopefully in March, we would put out a bid for construction. Hope to begin construction sometime next year.
Logan, is the tower rebuild separate from this?
Yes. So yeah, we went with Talley & Smith Architecture for the tower. What we have asked of them is that they work in concurrence with the engineering company. The only problem with that is if your engineering plan is not done until February of next year, you probably would either want to wait on the architect to at least kind of have some idea of the layout of the park. If not, you did want to move sooner, and you could probably have them talk with each other in the meantime to at least get some type of idea, some type of concept, or you could move forward on it sooner.
Because I would like to see something happening sooner rather than a year from now.
Yes, definitely.
Is that the consensus of the council? Move sooner on the tower? Okay.
Yes.
And what we can do when we're talking with the engineering firms is we can for example, if we maybe have a site plan that's not completely defined, but we have the general locations of everything, we can have them communicate that to the architect as we're going through it. So it should be something we can start sooner. Is there an expectation on time? How quickly?
Like, I would just like to see, folks need to see some type of progress rather than just sitting for another year with nothing happening. Whether it's grading or starting on the tower or whatever.
Yeah, if nothing else, we can get a tower design back to council fairly quickly, I would think, given that they have all the
I'd like to see
dimensions
it get moving myself.
ASAP.
That's that, yes, yeah.
Okay, anything else on the park? All right, 7G, April facilities report. It is in your packet. I don't know if you had any comment on that. Or any questions from council? 7H, March tax report. That's in your package.
Just quick notice, we did get $130 payment.
If you carry the escort to the budget.
All right, 7I, deputy report. It's in your packet. Then 7J, committee reports. Okay, the first one is technical coordinating committee.
Yeah, they don't meet until this Wednesday, so that report.
Transportation advisory committee.
Sorry, they need to.
All right, Western Pennsylvania Council Government Policy Board.
Well, last month we had the annual meeting, March 31st. Logan, Jody, and I attended. Basically, it was to network and present service awards to employees at the COG.
Okay. Burke Economic Development,
No update.
Recreation and Tourism,
That's terrible.
Water Resource Committee, VEDIC.
We meet Thursday. I have a question though. They're looking for places to meet.
Mhm.
Would our community room be available for them to meet if they call in for no charge?
Would it be ongoing or just for?
Just one meeting.
Just one.
We met at, Rutherford College. We're meeting at McGave Falls. So would that be
They
something?
just move around different locations.
Yes.
Mhm.
So would that,
Yeah, I don't see any issue.
they would contact you and set everything up, but I can say it's okay if they contact you.
Do we know what month they're looking at? Not yet.
They would just contact you and set up something. Yeah. That'd be okay?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, Burke, Library Board of Trustees, there was not a quorum at the last meeting, but things that were discussed, or Jim Wilson sent us out an email. The things that were discussed were a security guard for the Morganton Library. And for all the libraries, they would like to eliminate the fees and fines because that's kind of discouraging people from using the library and bringing their books back. And so anyway, that's pretty much all. Then number 8, Comprehensive Master Plan Steering Committee.
No, we had a meeting. We discussed, niches of town, beautifying the town, using our dead spaces, banners. I think we talked about some Christmas lights, expanding the Christmas lights. And they showed us, some drawings, what they're doing in other towns. I was impressed with the one in Granite Falls.
Yeah, and to follow that up, I was at the meeting too. So it was a big deal on the COG annual meeting, but it's something that I think a lot of towns are starting to focus on is what do your town entrances look like? That was a big focus. I think most of the community agreed that at some point branding and wayfinding would be something we probably need to do, need to look at. Yeah, beautifications along the entrance ways into town. And I know during the budget retreat, one of the things we talked about was 78, keeping it up. So that's something, we're looking into. The other one, they brought up several, road projects. So the North Center Street, Highway 70 bridge, that was brought up during the committee meeting. They'll probably make it into the plan. Something, either lights, roundabout, something at Main Avenue, the intersection of Main Avenue and Highway 70. It's up here. That was a concern. Wilson Road, brought up the Wilson Road speed track. I think that's how it was mentioned.
Racetrack.
Yeah, the racetrack.
Mhm.
So, we did inform them that a lot of these projects we did submit to DOT, under spot, but again, it was one of those things, basically anything that was not programmed within the next 2 years got put off. So, he did mention to them during this meeting, that's something we can look at again, to try to get it submitted. And then I think someone brought up North Center Street, maybe a sidewalk on that, but, the main focus of that meeting was transportation, all the way around.
And North Center Street, we're waiting for funding or grants or what are?
So the North Center Street project, we put that off because it in and of itself it was calculated at 1.5 million in terms of a project cost 2 years ago. Everything's up 25-30%. You'd be looking at 1.8 million. The issue that we have with it right now is when you look at all of our existing projects that are on the books, you're already at about 1.8 million. So in terms of what you have in the bank versus what you have able to spend, unless you want to, you'll take out a loan, but unless you did that, we wouldn't be able to manage all the projects on the books plus North Center Street. So when we talked about it at the budget retreat, maybe pushing it 2 years down the road, get through these projects, and then look at it again.
Okay.
Yeah, and just out of interest, on Wilson Road, are there any highway patrolmen that live in the city limits? Or in the east end, close by?
Not that I know of.
I know in years past, and this dates me, in years past when we had speeding trouble, I could always call Too Tall Tommy Stevens, who was a highway patrolman, and he would come down here, some of his buddies, work streets, and things got cleared up pretty fast. But they were sort of, real matter of fact for these people. And Gary can't do it. He can't do it. He can't do it
Now,
all.
I did see Gary sitting out on Wilson Road one time.
We're gonna need some help from highway patrol or whatever to help do that.
I understand that this past weekend, maybe it's just on Saturday, that Highway Patrol did do a targeted, enforcement on
Yes.
Wilson Road.
Yes.
But I never went out on Saturday, so I don't know. I don't stay at the house.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the troopers that we have loans with, Mike, down with, they know the concern, and I've been in Wilson Road time or two, and people do go awfully fast on that road, in my opinion. And I'm not a teetotaler, but I mean, they go pretty, they hit it lickety split.
Okay, so we're gonna do the closed session before the business. So I need a motion.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
All in favor?
The
Thank
reason, the reason.
What, employment,
Personnel.
personnel, so.
Seen that. They were
And we're just gonna have the council in Redmond.
Out there in the yard, spend their time.
Who would like to take hands?
Oh, yeah.
Good, let's tell him he's not paying attention.
I've got a violation out on that one.
Yeah. And I'll cut a couple of them.
Yeah, just feel free to email or give me a call. Well, I usually have my office phone forwarded to the cell phone, so even if I'm out in the field, you can get a hold of me.
Okay.
And that one.
Chad, are you gonna be here for just a few minutes afterward?
I can be.
If you would, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir, I will.
I'll have to create all of them.